Welcome to Talk South Asian to Me Season 3. My name is Michelle.
And my name is Anusha. Tune in every Thursday at 5 p.m. Central and hear us react to each other's stories about mental health and growing up in different South Asian households.
And remember, this podcast is not therapy. Engage with what feels entertaining and resonates with you and leave what doesn't. It's Season 3. We have some changes, some physical changes. Do you see my background?
Glow ups.
Yes. For people who are watching this on video, you can see my little white bear background has been upgraded to a little personalized background. Okay. And we are going to be including some new, drum roll, right? New segments in our episodes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Keep it fun, keep it light.
Should I introduce our first one?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay.
Michelle is very excited about this one. Okay.
Yes, because it's so punny. It's so good. I love it. And I remember us coming up with this idea like when we were visiting each other months ago, and we wrote it down in our notes app, in our shared notes app, and we're like, we have to do this as a segment in Season 3. Are you ready? It is called Slay or Nay. Okay, like nay, like in Hindi, right? Like no. And this is in reference to any comments, quotes, stories that maybe an elderly person or auntie or another person has said to you. It's kind of like a slay or nay auntie kind of spin to it. Okay, so we're actually going to, in a few episodes, and we'll go through a rotation with a few segments, but for this segment, we'll kind of take turns to kind of share a quote or a story. We also want to collect these stories from you all and kind of share it on our episodes. And the other person has to guess if it was a slay or a nay. Slay auntie or nay auntie. Okay. So you want to start us off with our very first one ever?
I'm so ready. Are you ready for our first slay or nay?
I'm so ready.
Okay, so first, we decided to kind of like poll our friends, poll our family to kind of get the ball rolling for these stories. So I'm not going to share who. This will be anonymous. Not going to throw anyone under the bus.
Okay.
But here's the story.
That. We should keep it anonymous. I agree.
Yeah. We're going to keep it anonymous so then you feel like you want to share these stories with us.
Exactly.
That way we get the tea, we get the chai to spill.
Yes.
So here we go.
There you go. Okay, I'm ready.
Our first ever slay or nay.
Woo!
This anonymous person shared that their mom's friend told her son, why isn't he married like this friend? Why is he not married? Come on, what is he doing with his life? You need to go talk to this friend so you can get married. This is what the mom's friend said. This anonymous person's mom's friend. And this anonymous person was sharing with me, this guy is so successful in his career. He's just like, just a casual 20-something guy, chilling, living his best life in SFO. And one day his mom just comes at him with this question of like, why are you not married like your friend? What are you doing? Why don't you go talk to your friend about your problems, about why you're not married? And his friend and him, luckily, they have a chill conversation. It was funny. It was just a funny little anecdote. But what do you think about this auntie? Slay or nay?
I'm going to have to say nay. And I think that's because it's kind of really just giving importance to marriage and nothing else, right? Like what about the rest of your life, right? Marriage is not, I feel like in the past that was maybe an ultimate goal, but I feel like with time it has changed. People have different goals.
Yeah.
What about you? What would you say?
Definite nay.
Definitely nay.
I mean, like, first off, 20-something, like, this is the time to, like, live and enjoy and, like, just go out there, date, have fun. Like, you don't have to, get married at 20-something, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially these days. And I recognize I don't really have a lot of authority to stand on here. I got married really young in early 20s.
You did.
But hey,
there's nothing wrong with
judging.
That. Yes, I'm not judging either.
I'm not judging other people out here, okay?
Yes, you can marry at whatever age, but there shouldn't be judgment even if you're not married at a later age, right? That's not
exactly.
That shouldn't be the ultimate goal. And it sounds like this person is not really a close family member, like it's just a friend. So I feel like that adds another layer. Like that's a nay. That's a no-no.
Yeah.
Right?
And like comparison. Like I hoped we were moving past comparing people to their friends, to their cousins. I hoped we were past that. Definite nay. We don't want to pass that on.
Yeah. But there are slays out there and nays too. So if you have any slay or nays of your own, we would love to hear them. We're going to put it on our social media platforms, comments. You can comment on this video as well or this podcast. But we'll probably be coming out soon with a little bit of like way to submit it as well, like maybe a form or something. So in our
Yeah.
link tree.
Or
So we
email
would
us.
love to,
Something.
yeah, email. So we would
Anything.
love to hear your slay your nays. DM
Yeah.
us. We love DMs.
Yeah, exactly. Slide into our DMs and leave us a
There you
Slay or
go.
Nay story.
Exactly.
Yeah, I do have a really good juicy Slay story for another day, so we'll get to those.
I have a good one too.
Yeah. Can't wait.
Yes. All right,
Okay,
that was a success.
so
First
how was
segment
it? Our
down.
first Slay or Nay, how'd that feel?
That was good.
Yeah.
I liked it. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be good. I love this type of kind of quick and easy dipping into someone's story, but then also like quickly reflecting on it and discussing it. I
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
I'm just a great person that loves and appreciates a great pun. So we get to add that.
Yeah. I kind of feel like a masked vigilante being out here, being like a little judge of like, no, that's nay, that is not a slay, but also kind of a cheerleader for when we get to those slay moments.
Yes, and there are slave moments. We have to make sure remember that. There are
Positive
aunties and uncles
reinforcement.
out there that are slaying.
Yeah. We'll
And we
call
want to
those out.
highlight those too.
Yeah. Today we just wanted to start with a little bit of a juicy nay, or at least I did, since I'm the one who came up with it.
Yes, that was good. It was good.
Well, let's get into our actual topic today. So we're back to our usual programming with our ABCs topic picks, right? So for our first episode of season 3, we're starting off with A for anger, the forbidden emotion. I totally botched
It
our
could
own
be hidden
title.
too.
Hidden and forbidden emotion.
Yes. Whenever I hear the word anger, my brain like makes a picture of the Inside Out character.
Yes, I love
Like
that.
immediately goes to that.
I love that. I love that so much that you say that, because in like therapy work that I do when we talk about like these kinds of parts, almost everybody that's like the most descriptive people can get. They cannot get that visual out of their heads, right?
Yeah.
Especially like the fire on Anger's head and it grows when he's really, really angry.
Yes.
I love that.
Such
Amazing.
a good movie. Both
That's what I
movies
think
so
of
good.
too. Today, I thought we could first talk about kind of like the types of anger, right? Eventually, I'll get to unpacking anger itself and like what is it really, like, okay, good, bad, slay or nay of anger itself. We'll kind of get into all of that in a minute. But first, I thought I would just kind of break down real quick. What are the different kinds of anger?
Yeah.
So typically, anger is kind of broken down into 3 types of forms. One is like passive. So think like suppressing anger, suppressing that emotion. The second is aggressive anger. So, as it sounds, like threatening, throwing things, just like getting physical, And then the last is assertive. So this is like constructive. This is like the healthy form of communicating anger, understanding anger.
Yeah.
Now, when I was looking into kind of getting a feel for how anger can show up in South Asian communities, how we typically look up research articles, talk about that kind of stuff, I was simultaneously shocked and then not so shocked after I kind of sat with it about what came up. There were 2 or 3 articles on how South Asian communities link anger to South Asian men. I'm like, that was it. Those were the top 2 or 3 articles. And then the rest was like not really about South Asians and then nothing about like women. I know.
There's a lack of research there.
Yeah, lack of research and just like a lack of like talking about it. Like it's just not normalized. And that's exactly why I love this topic. Oh my gosh. Okay, we're going to get into it. But
okay,
I will talk about a little bit about like the angle on like South Asian men and how anger is kind of linked to them first, because that's what's available.
Yes.
I read a article by Steve Baga, a licensed marriage and family therapist out in California. And he had an article called Uncovering the Mental Health Struggles of South Asian Men. So I, obviously like I kind of chose specific stuff to pick out from this article that focused on anger. So I'll read kind of little tidbits first.
Okay.
Basically, such powerful, impactful words, by the way. Listen to this. It's like poetry. He says, patriarchal expectations impose a heavy burden on South Asian men, forcing men into roles of control, strength, and stoicism. Emotions like sadness or vulnerability are seen as weaknesses, leaving anger as the only acceptable expression under these toxic gender norms. Right off the bat, like, isn't that so powerful, impactful?
Yeah, it's very powerful.
Love that. Basically, he kind of goes on to say that South Asian men often lack models and like resources to basically process
Mhm.
the inherited trauma. And when I say inherited trauma, think like intergenerational trauma.
Right,
They
right.
lack the models and resources to properly process, effectively process this intergenerational trauma. So South Asian men are often left to basically just suppress those feelings,
Mm,
any feelings,
yeah.
which only leaves them then with the anger being the default response to any pain, to trapping them within that cycle of being misunderstood,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And he kind of basically goes on to say the real hope here, the real solution for South Asian men is community. So he talks about how community plays a really vital role in breaking out of that isolation and anger and
Mhm.
connecting with those who share similar experiences, because then that kind of fosters a sense of like belongingness, so
Yeah.
it counters that feeling of not being heard, just like that invisibility piece. So,
Mhm.
through shared healing, men reclaim their emotional expression, understand their traumas, and build a more connected sense of self, right? They understand their emotions, they're connected to themselves. They can have healthier forms of communicating and
Yeah.
emoting. Now,
It's
all of that
almost
makes a lot
sorry,
of
I didn't
sense,
mean to
right?
interrupt you. I was, like, thinking when you say, like, suppression, it almost reminds me of, like, the way I explain anger or, like, just emotions and healthy emotional expression to my patients, how, like, we do, like, a volcano activity with, like, Play-Doh and, like, baking soda and vinegar, and how we build a volcano and how, like, to teach them, like, when you suppress your feelings, it can get to a point where you kind of explode. And like you said, it can come out in anger because that's what is known and normalized.
Exactly. Yeah. When you don't deal with and hold space for these other emotions, then anger is kind of what you're left with.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Now, it's totally true that this is something that men, and in our context, South Asian men, typically get pigeonholed into, kind of embodying and like playing out that like cycle and that role. But it's not exclusive to South Asian men, right? Like
Mhm.
it's in general, suppressing emotions leaves you with one option: anger. Right. Now, typically, when we're talking about like gender expectations and, all of that, like typically that shows up more significantly in men.
Mhm.
But let's talk about for a second, like, how does that show up then in like women typically?
Yeah. Okay.
So, this isn't part of the article because, again, there was nothing about it, but I was kind of just reflecting on like experiences and like therapy experiences that I've had as a
Mhm.
therapist. Right. So, my observation really is like, particularly with my work with elder daughters of immigrant households or just eldest children in general, that whole phenomenon of being the good daughter, right? Like the good
Mm.
child. And just
Yeah.
in general, like the burden of being an eldest child, eldest
Right.
daughter, right? What are the burdens? You're expected to be a peacekeeper, right? You're expected to be helpful. You're expected to be
Mhm.
the one that who like has it together. Sometimes they're parentified, right? So they're the ones
Yes.
taking care of their other siblings.
Yeah.
You're just basically expected to be quote unquote good,
Mhm.
which doesn't leave you a lot of margin for error. There's no room to
Yeah.
be angry, right?
Yeah.
But does that mean that you never get angry? No, right? Because, like we just talked
Mhm.
about, suppressing emotions brings up anger. So you
Mhm.
might put off your emotions as much as possible and like you try really hard to suppress it. And maybe you're not like seen as angry. But how long can you do that before anger comes out?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah. I almost wonder too, like, what is the reason that anger is the default? Like, because this is maybe just generally speaking, right? Not just the
Yeah,
South Asian community. Like,
totally.
why is anger the one that is it because anger is the type of emotion that has the most least control, right? If you think about it, right? It's easily more subconscious. And so like when you're suppressing these emotions, that is the first one that comes out because that's maybe the one that or maybe like your body, your brain is just so frustrated and keeping these emotions and holding them that it comes out in that frustration and anger. I'm just almost curious. Just I wonder.
You're so onto something there. Like, honestly, yes. Like, there's definitely a function for why anger is like the quickest to kind of come up in those moments, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you think about it, like pressure cooker example, right? If you're
Right.
suppressing your emotions, you're building this pressure of all the times you deserved better or you weren't heard or like, whatever those
Mhm.
were. You're building up the pressure until eventually you can't hold it in. And when you don't know how to feel your emotions, you don't know how to like make space and advocate for yourself, your body can't literally hold it. It's like a pressure cooker. The
Yeah.
lid blows off and then it like
Mm.
spews out, burning
Yeah.
you. That's the
Ugh.
anger.
Okay. It kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we can talk about like later. I want to kind of get into like what is really the process behind understanding anger. Like what is its purpose even, right?
Right.
A
Right.
little tidbit I'll share for later though.
Okay.
Build some suspense.
Sounds good.
But in general though, like, you know, with the whole idea of like eldest daughter, anger, like all of that, how it shows up, like I said, right? Like there's just no room for anger to exist, right?
Yeah.
It just, and if it does come out, because you just can't hold it in, what ends up
Mhm.
happening? Most of the time you're kind of labeled as like, that's unladylike. Like, why are you being like
Mhm.
that? You're being
Mhm.
so angry. Like you're labeled as angry.
Hot-tempered.
Yeah, you're labeled as
Emotional.
angry, hot-tempered, emotional. God,
Oh, I hate
emotional.
that word.
What?
Why are you
Hate it.
so emotional? Sensitive. Sensitive's another one.
You mean having
You're too
emotions
sensitive.
makes you emotional and having feelings makes you sensitive?
Yeah.
That's like,
Or
no,
yeah, you're too sensitive.
no,
Or you're too emotional.
I hate that. I hate that. No. You know, but I mean, in general, though, like if you really think about like when and how anger can show up, typically because we've allowed as a society men to emote only through anger and not
Mhm.
really for like sadness, right? Like, oh, you're crying. Why are you crying? Like, you shouldn't be crying. Men don't cry.
Yeah.
You know, that kind
Yeah.
of rhetoric forces and normalizes anger. Oh, he's angry? Well, that's how guys are. They get angry, right? Like you
Mhm.
normalize that. But it's the exact opposite for like a woman, right? For girls, it's more, why is she angry? She's so sensitive. She's so
Mhm.
emotional, like you said,
Mhm.
right? So either way, not great how we handle anger in our
Right.
community, but it's a little bit different. It is a little bit nuanced, right? And what we
Mm.
deem appropriate or not appropriate. And either
Yeah.
side of the coin, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Yeah. It's not.
And I personally, I feel like I have seen, of the three types of anger that we've talked about, I have really only seen passive and aggressive, and then a fun combination, passive aggressive
Mm.
anger in South Asian communities. Like, for example, passive, right? Like when you swallow your anger, pretend everything is fine, smile, don't
Yeah.
make waves, all that. Passive aggressive, like slamming doors, silent
Mhm.
treatment, right?
Cabinets.
The finest slamming doors. And then aggressive, obviously like yelling or something like that, right?
Mhm.
So what I mean, ultimately, this is what I see the most in our communities. I don't often see, and personally have actually never seen, assertive form of anger where you understand what you're upset about and like you communicate that. I
Mhm.
so rarely, if not have never seen that in our
Yeah.
communities.
It's a skill. You have to
Yeah,
learn it. I don't
it's
think
a
it's
skill.
innate in our community.
Oh, totally. Yeah. And to be fair, like again, intergenerational trauma type angle, like it
Right.
makes
Right.
sense
It does.
where and why things are the way that they are, but it's just not healthy to carry that.
Mm-mm.
We
Yeah,
can all
it's not.
learn to break out of that cycle, the intergenerational trauma cycle, by learning how to have assertive anger
Mhm.
management.
There you go.
So basically, all that to say, anger really isn't the problem, right? It's not anger that we're not supposed to have. It's basically how we respond to the anger that determines whether it's going to be helpful or hurtful,
Right.
right? So here's the fun part. This is what I was saying. I'm going to build the suspense up to. What is
Okay.
the point then of anger? So to understand anger, we have to take a step back real fast to think about emotions themselves. We have to think about emotions kind of like signals to us. Every emotion serves a purpose and they're signaling
Right.
some important information to us to do something about it.
Mhm.
Anger in particular, you asked, like, okay, what about anger? So, anger in particular, I'm actually curious. Do you have an idea? Like, if emotions had purpose, what do you think the purpose of anger is?
Well, I feel like we've talked about this before in the
Yeah,
past
probably.
episodes too, where like I think anger is trying to communicate that you have felt some type of injustice or like, like or you're trying to advocate for yourself. Like
Totally.
you need to, yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bingo. Anger
Which
is
is like
almost,
something I will say like not something I knew all the time. This is something I learned from you from our past episodes. It was new information. So
yeah,
I can
I
imagine
can
it could be
imagine
new
that.
for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't shut up about anger. I love anger. I
I
can
love that.
imagine
I
that.
love that you love anger.
I do. I love it. I love it so much. And you'll
So
know why in my
passionate about
story. You
anger.
know,
Okay. Yeah, I'm ready for your
you have an
story.
idea.
I do. But
Um,
not the whole idea. Some of it.
well, you will today. I honestly, like, anger is exactly what you said. That's the purpose that it serves. It shows up when we have like injustices and things like that, right? Like, anger is basically a message for unmet needs
Mm-hmm.
and a signal for what is our core values and when those things are being tampered with,
Right.
right? So basically, it protects us when we're hurt because anger is like an action kind of a
Mm-hmm.
emotion. Like, it's very energetic type, right? Like, think righteous anger, in terms of like, I don't know, standing up for what we believe in, helping other people. Sometimes anger can be the thing to help us end a bad relationship or quit a
Right.
toxic job, right? It's very energetic. So it's like a protector. So it protects us from when like we're hurt, when our needs aren't being met, when something is not really aligned with our values and someone's being treated
Mm-hmm.
unfairly. It's not just like for us. The protection kind of also is outward. It
Yeah.
protects other people, it protects us. So like when you think about it like that, isn't that kind of sweet? Like, it's
That
our
is
personal
sweet.
bodyguard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
That's why
sure.
I love anger. It's like serves
Personal
a
bodyguard.
purpose.
I love
Yeah.
that. Anger is your personal bodyguard.
Exactly. But the thing too, though, like, I'll give you like an example. It's kind of like fire, right? Like, I love to tell this to
Mm-hmm.
clients. Anger is like fire. When you tend to the fire, you get to cook food, you get to keep warm.
Right.
Like, it
Right.
serves us.
Mm-hmm.
But anger is also a really dangerous thing. If you don't tend to it and you kind of just reactively like throw the fire onto something, it
Put
can burn
salt
stuff
into
down.
it. Put fuel in it.
Yeah,
Let it spread.
exactly. It's going to spread. It's going to burn things down. We don't want that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why it's so important for people to understand it's okay to be angry, but we need to understand first, like, what is anger telling us? And then we need to speak for the anger rather than from the anger.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's a
I love
t-shirt
it.
idea. What do you think?
Speak
Speak
from the
for,
anger.
not from.
Yeah. For the anger, not from.
T-shirt idea.
I love it. Speak for the anger.
Honestly, all emotions, but for today's
Yeah.
topic, anger.
Yes.
Yeah. So I thought we could also kind of wrap up my little research about anger with a fun fact. Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Fun fact. Unleashing your anger doesn't actually produce a sense of catharsis that people tend to crave. Did you know
Wait,
that?
what? No.
Yeah.
That's a myth?
That's true. You know what it actually does? It
What?
feeds the anger even more. That's why that, like, the fire analogy is amazing. So literally
Mm.
when you like do something with that anger, particularly like aggressive anger, it doesn't actually tamp it down and make you feel like, okay, whew, I needed to get that out. You feel more angry. You feel like it's building, like you still have more to do, to act, right?
What if you angry cry? Because I feel like I feel better after I angry cry.
Totally. But that's because of a cry, right? So crying is like the body's natural way to regulate.
To release, yeah.
Yeah. It's a
Okay, so
natural
that's different.
cathartic thing.
But if we're talking about like slamming cabinet door, slamming
Yeah,
door,
no.
slamming
Yeah.
or like shuffling
Mm-mm.
dishes loudly, like that actually
Mm-mm.
fuels the fire. Well, yeah,
No.
that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah. Like, if you really
But
think about it, I've never
yeah,
once, when I've been passive aggressive, ever felt better after that.
yeah. Now that I'm reflecting, I haven't. I've actually
Yeah.
felt worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a fun fact?
Mm-hmm. It's a fun fact.
Yes. I love it. So then really at the end of the day, like, since you can't deal with anger by venting anger out, it's just not effective. The best
Mm-hmm.
way to deal with it is to understand it. What is this anger telling you? And then
Yeah.
you deal with it assertively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I have a fun would you rather kind of question. Okay.
Okay. Hit
I'm really
me. I'm
excited about
ready.
your answer to this.
Okay.
It's a good one.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. Michelle, would
Yes.
you rather be known as the angry emotional one for being assertive, or would you rather suppress your anger and be passive and just continue to be known as the sweet girl?
Number one, assertive, angry, emotional.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
Okay. Why?
I don't know if you're asking for my reasoning. Are you
I do
asking
want
my
to know.
reasoning?
Yes. Why?
Okay. Well, because it kind of the sweet one and an angry emotional one has to do with lokakenge, which is what other people think about me,
Mm,
which I am trying to move myself away from. So if we eliminate those labels, and we just focus on assertive versus suppression. I would like to be assertive and do healthy coping and healthy
Yeah.
anger management.
Love that. This is how we know Michelle is in a healed place, you guys.
Yes. Healing. Yes.
But
Yes.
about this,
We'll get to
feeling
my
pretty healed.
story. I had some passive aggressiveness actually yesterday.
I love that. Well, that's okay. Healing is definitely a process. We're never really done anyway.
Progress over perfection. There we go.
Exactly. I love that. Actually, this is what I tell my clients. We call them healed behaviors. So I
There
say,
we go.
oh, that was a very healed behavior of you to do. Or
There
that
you
doesn't sound
go.
like a very healed behavior moment, you know?
I
I feel like that's better than saying
kind of take it
healed.
away from the person. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's label behaviors. I like that.
Yeah. Exactly. So what did you think? Did you learn something new about anger?
I did.
Yeah.
I sure did. I didn't know there was a term for healthy anger management, assertive. And I wouldn't have guessed that. I feel like if I would have heard assertiveness, I would think like, oh, like you're just being assertive with what you feel. But it's actually like a healthy meaning to it.
Yeah. Which kind
And
of
I like that how you described like assertive versus passive aggressive versus aggressive.
Yeah.
That was a good differentiation.
It's a little bit like nuanced. It's like passive, it's aggressive, then it's assertive, but the passive aggressive just kind of combines those
together.
two.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. And I'm glad that you highlighted that in our South Asian community, it's pretty kind of the research is focused on South Asian men and that's not really an accurate representation. Anger is felt by every person in our community, right? It's not just men. And I'm glad that you highlighted that.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that I think this conversation really helps normalize that this is an emotion. Emotions are part of being human, so.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I am just excited about normalizing it because one, I mean, it is really unfair that men get the brunt of that expectation that that's the only emotion they're allowed to have other than happy anger. We don't want that, right? Like we want them to feel comfortable, to be sad, have a range of all their emotions. Yeah. And in the same way, we want to normalize for like women that anger is perfectly normal, perfectly fine to hold. And to stop seeing it as something that, we start labeling people as like, oh, they're just so emotional. Yeah. They're just so sensitive. No, they have rights. They have their own emotions. They're allowed to feel their feelings.
They are.
Yeah. So now we'll get to why I really love anger, which you know a little bit of.
Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do this. Okay. So anger and my complicated relationship with anger. Now it's just all fun. But growing up, like, we talked about this all the time, right? Like growing up, I was definitely like the good girl, right? Like Anisha was such a good kid all the time. And like I was the one that everybody compared to. Such a good girl. Luckily, I didn't have anybody my age for them to compare to. So I was kind of spared that weirdness of being on that side of being compared to. But now with a lot of like, I still hear some of that rhetoric of, oh, Anu was such a good kid. We never had to, like, you never had to worry about her. Don't love that. You don't love that. As you can imagine, though, as I've talked about a lot on this podcast, Mom, I love you. If you're listening, okay? I do love you. Just listen. Don't judge. Mom was very adamant growing up about like positivity and like taking things light and like mentioned, of course. But you can imagine when you constantly hear somebody tell you, like, smile. Why are you just like sitting there? What's wrong? Like, why are you smiling then if nothing's wrong? Like, don't be sad. It's okay. It's not a big deal. Yeah. Oh, don't be mad. Why are you mad? It's not even a big deal. Like when you hear that all the time, you kind of internalize what's okay and not okay to feel, right? So I was, oh my God, so repressed with my emotions. Yeah. Particularly, like the sad emotions or even like the angry emotions that tend to come up as a protective form of those sadness moments, right? So like we talked about pressure cooker example, you can't do that forever. So when I was in college, that kind of came to a very, very like boiling point. And I started becoming very angry, becoming very sensitive, becoming very emotional. I'm rolling my eyes at this. These are not labels that I choose, but these are labels that were used. And obviously, looking back on it, like, of course, that's what was going to happen. I didn't have the tools to sit with the anger, understand the anger, and communicate. So when the anger came up, because I couldn't hold in all those emotions anymore, it did what it knows to do, which was being passive, being aggressive, being
Mm.
passive aggressive, because that's what I had seen.
Yeah.
Obviously not healthy form of anger, but that's what I did. I was lashing out. And this came with, like, obviously, as you can imagine, right? Like, for somebody who was constantly labeled as a good kid growing up and then unfamiliar with anger, just starting to lash out at people, I had
Yeah.
so much like shame around that. Like, I felt so
Mm.
bad. And then sometimes it would kind of feel good. And when it felt good, I had shame around that, guilt around that. Like, why does that feel good? That should not feel good.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like layers on layers of complicated relationship with this anger piece and all the flooding of emotions that I had no way to really like hold space for and deal with because I'd never really learned how to.
Yeah.
This is when, therapy started, right? This
Yeah.
is my first introduction to therapy. It was amazing. It was just on school campus.
Mm-hmm.
But it was enough, right? Like I'm like naturally very attuned to emotions. So that was really enough for me. I just needed like the 10 sessions from that therapy session, the things that they give kids, right? You get 10
Mm-hmm.
sessions in your college campus. That was
Yeah.
enough to kind of kickstart that journey for me. And I learned a lot through that, right? Like I learned I was allowed to have emotions. I learned how to just have somebody non judgmentally listen. And so that kind of allowed myself to learn that these are okay. Talk about it, talking through it. And then through like my own education as a therapist later on, I kind of learned about like parts work, right? And then, understanding like, okay, our emotions have meaning. What are those meanings?
Yeah.
Understanding the purpose and full circle moment. We started with all that the passive aggressive anger to now kind of understanding it better, right?
That's awesome.
So that's why I love working with my clients
Can you,
about
I
anger.
feel like you don't have to answer this, you don't have to do it if you don't want to, but I would love to hear an example of an assertive practice or anger management that you've had like recently or like the full circle moment. Just so I think sometimes it might be so far and foreign to some people and how can it look like in relationships
Great idea.
today, especially in the South Asian community and a couple. Like I would love to hear an example.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you asked that. So let's see. I think off the top of my head, the first thing that kind of comes up is probably my relationship, right? Because I
Yeah.
live with my husband. So it's the
Yeah.
first thing that comes up.
There you go.
I feel like that was its own journey, honestly. Like, even when I kind of realized this, really implementing assertive ways with anger, it took me a long time. And I can only say confidently that in the last, like, maybe year or two, I've really seen progress in that. It took me a long,
Mm-hmm.
long, long time to effectively unpack that.
Mm-hmm.
But to give you an example of like specifically assertive ways to communicate the anger, for example, the other day we were, of course, these are just all stupid arguments that couples get into. These are not real, deep things, but we got into an argument over some like chores stuff basically and
Mm-hmm.
how we handle the chores. And I was feeling really frustrated essentially. And I was getting that angry kind of protector voice coming up saying, why do I always have to do things when he wants me to do things like the chores?
Mm-hmm.
Because we kind of approach it differently. He's kind of like a get it done and then relax. I'm like a let me relax and then I'll get it done.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just like really incompatible in that way. And
Yeah.
more often than not, because he wants it done first, he feels like he can't relax if my part of the chores aren't done. And so I was feeling this frustration because this is like a repetitive conversation we used to have. And I was feeling a lot of frustration of like, why does it always have to be your way? It feels unfair. Why don't you ever listen to me and like what I need? And like, I really need to like rest first. Now, in the past, I would have just gotten angry and like been passive aggressively start like vacuuming and ignoring him. That's what I would have done. But we're learning, we're healing, we're growing. So what I did instead was I recognized first and foremost, oh, that anger is right there. Because it was on the tip of my tongue to be like, to yell and say something like, I'm just relaxing, or like, can you leave me alone? Or like just something. It was at the tip of my tongue. And I was like, okay, wait, that's an angry response. Why am I angry? And I kind of just paused, took a deep breath. I listened for a second and I was like, okay, I just don't want to do it right now. And I'm feeling angry because I'm feeling that is being threatened. What my want and needs are being threatened. So I said that. I was like, okay, I know that you like things done first. I totally hear you. But I've just had a really long day and I'm really tired. And I will do it before we sleep. So you can wake up tomorrow feeling like everything is done and clean. But today, I'm not going to do that right now. Here's what I'm going to do. Okay, is that okay? And I kind of just like checked in. Now, normally, again, if I had responded in anger, he would have gotten angry and that would have just gone back and forth.
Yeah.
But because I kind of calmed down, I validated and I said, I see that how this affects you, but this is why I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to find a little compromise. He was like, okay, fine. That's all right. Then he walked away. I'm like, boom, we're done.
Nice.
That's it.
Yay. Go,
Yay.
Anisha and Ani.
It's a work
Nice.
in progress.
Nice work. Proud of you guys.
Thank
It
you.
is a work in progress. It's good to hear like a healthy example. I think it's because it's helpful to see that what to strive for.
Yeah.
So I like that. Oh, thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Now I want to know all about you and anger because honestly, you and anger don't go in the same sentence. So I can't wait to hear about your story.
Yeah. It's honestly, I definitely think this department in my life definitely needs more work. And I'm working on this with my therapist. But even writing about this, I was like, wow, like it's even hard for me to like think about this and reflect on it because I've suppressed it so much or I've blocked it out so much. So it's really interesting when I was like reflecting on what I want to share today. I feel like my kind of upbringing was very similar where anger was not normalized or at least healthy anger management, like assertive anger was not normalized, right? Anger had a negative, has and still had and has a negative connotation. It was looked down upon, right? I was taught at a very young age that anger is not normal. And so I quickly learned at a very young age that if I felt anger, that's like guilt or like that's wrong. And I shouldn't feel that. Like I'm wrong in feeling that. Like it was like guilt attached to anger
Totally.
immediately. Yeah. But that doesn't mean anger was not part of my upbringing. Like I didn't see it. I did see it, but it was in again, passive aggressive ways. Right. I feel like the unhealthy ways to release anger, communicate anger, such as making loud noises in the kitchen with pots and pans, dishes, cabinet doors, slamming the doors. I've heard like yelling as well, like aggressiveness. Um, I remember feeling anger and also being passive, and passive aggressive, I guess, hyphenated as well,
Yeah.
right? Like because that was normalized. Like I saw my parents doing it. I thought that was an okay, normal way to respond to my
Yeah.
anger, right? Like being passive aggressive, especially when I was a teenager, our bodies are growing where like our hormones are changing, our bodies are changing. And so I would tend to have more intense reactions when I was younger. And my mom and I would get it like butt heads a lot and we would feel each other's anger a lot. We would go back and forth. They were
Oof.
screaming, like just like
Totally.
simple, like very like small, I can't even remember the topics, like arguments. And just like quick back and forth. I had arguments with my sister. There was one time where me and my sister like threw hangers at each other. It's very aggressive anger. You know what I mean? Like it didn't go past that, but it was just like throwing hangers at each other in our bedroom. We also shared a room her
Yeah.
whole life until I went to college. So
Right.
there was just a lot of conflict management over there too, which resulted in anger
Totally.
unhealthily. Yeah. So I remember like feeling angry. I remember, you know, practicing those behaviors. And I feel that it was like you said, like I think if most of it was in the household. Like I didn't show it. I suppressed it a lot outside of the house. And I guess I got really good at it, you know. But I do think that also had its consequences in the future where I learned to really suppress it to the point where it would start bubbling up. So my anger actually started fueling my anxiety, I feel like you said, right? Like anger is your personal bodyguard. So I actually like if I would feel angry about something, I would actually also start feeling anxious about that. Instead of like me talking about it, whatever the person or the action that was making me feel anxious that moment, like I would just kind of keep it in and then it would just keep building my anxiety. And so I just feel like in my perspective, the South Asian culture does not give people permission to feel anger. And there's no room, like you said, right?
Yeah.
There's no room for anger. it's looked down upon. It makes it seem like you're emotional, you're too sensitive, you're not allowed to be angry. And honestly, I really don't think it's just a South Asian culture. I think it's generally
Yeah.
true. Like
Yeah.
in other settings, like if a person speaks up or advocates, they become the talk of the office, the talk of the workplace, talk of the school. Like,
Totally.
oh, like this person is speaking up and angry about something. Like that's not good, right? Like I feel like just like in in today's time, like all the injustices that are happening, like people are like it's just
Mhm.
it's it's looked down upon, and that's not okay. But I do like focusing back into South Asian culture, I do think that there's no room given, grace given to feel
Yeah.
anger. You're immediately labeled, like you said, like you're sensitive, you're emotional. For like the injustices that I faced growing up with extended family members, like I have suppressed that. I've suppressed anger because I wanted to keep peace, like you said, peacekeepers. So I feel like, after a lot of work, normalizing emotions, understanding and accepting that anger is not, it's just part of the human experience. I can't control when I feel anger, but I can control how I respond to it, just like any other emotion,
Little
right?
claps. I love that.
Yeah.
Say
Like,
that again. I love it.
I know, right? I'm like, what did I say? I can't control when I feel anger, but I can control how I respond to it.
Bingo.
And same with others. Like when I see another person feel angry, like I might have been maybe the person that caused the anger, but I can't control how I respond to their anger too, right? Like, do I keep feeling? Do I become angry myself because they got angry? Like like I'm just thinking about like people who get mad at each other in an argument. Like, are you gonna be? It's the same thing. How do I react to other people's anger as well? And it's like what you said, right? Taking a step back and reflecting, where is this stemming from? And it's the same thing with the other person. Like if they're feeling angry in front of you, like instead of taking it at face value and being like they're angry with me, taking a step further back and saying, why
Mm.
are they feeling angry?
Yeah.
And then again, that's where the validation comes, like the example that you gave with the understanding and validation. Like I see that you're angry because this is how you like things, but this is how I like things, right? Like I think that reflection piece, and this is, I think, has to do with other aspects. It's not just anger. Like, that's not taught to us in our South
Right.
Asian community.
Totally.
Like, I don't want to say I want to say, I can speak for myself. Like, I feel like I was taught to be very reactive.
Mm.
And and I am still unlearning it, but I've had to unlearn that. Like, my innate responses as starting at a young age is pretty reactive. Like, I mean, I take things started used to take things at face value immediately and just take it from there. Like
Yeah.
instead of zooming out,
Yeah.
right? And reflecting like, why is this happening? The
Yeah.
why aspect was not taught
Totally.
to me
Exactly. It's
growing
like a
up.
skill that we have to see modeled and be taught how to
Right.
do.
And it's not modeled for us.
Yeah.
So it's so uncomfortable sometimes, right? Like, and I like you're right. Like sometimes there are moments where I have the anger at the tip of tongue, and
Mm.
I let it win. It wins, you
Sometimes it
know?
does. Yeah,
Yeah,
even for me still.
yeah. And sometimes I'm like able to be like, okay, where is this coming from? It's like just like example from yesterday. Like my husband and I were just so busy with everything going on in our social life, and just we're just in a time of our life where everybody's getting married. Like it's just a lot going on, and I
Everybody really.
just.
I know.
Mhm. And then so I just feel like I just started feeling a little bit of anger, I guess, of me just not feeling like I'm getting that love language that I want, like the quality time. And it's not his fault. Like we're just in a bind. Like our free time is not free time anymore. And I feel that my initial response was anger. It was
Yeah.
passive slash aggressive. I
Yeah.
was definitely,
Boom. Why?
definitely,
Unmet needs. I
definitely
love that.
slam. I definitely threw my keys into the bowl. I definitely kind of slammed the cabinet door. This is literally yesterday. It's so embarrassing. I'm being very vulnerable. But my therapy work and my therapist kind of popped up in the moment right when that
Love that.
happened. And I was like, this is not right. I shouldn't be doing this. So I kind of like took some deep breaths. And then I went up to him and I was like, I just feel very sad and upset that we haven't been able to do this. And he was like,
Yeah. Of
I was like, yeah. And it came out in anger. And his immediate response was like, yeah, I heard. I was
course you
like,
did.
he did a great job not like like feeling it. He just said, I heard. And then I kind of was able to explain. And then I think crying is something that I've accepted and that's normalized for me. Like when I feel angry, so like tears start flowing. And I think it's like you said, we talked about it's cathartic,
Oh
it's a
yeah.
release. that helped. And I was able to like communicate like, this is what I want, this is what I need. And he was listening. And
Mm.
so it's just so interesting how that we're talking about this. And literally yesterday, I tried to transition from passive aggressive to assertive, but
And
it
you
was a
did.
process. Yeah, it was a process,
Yeah,
but it's hard.
it
It's
is.
hard. I like remember feeling just like so angry
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
but it was good to like, maybe it was also good to feel that way because I was able to be like, wait, 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 I don't want to be this person
Yes.
anymore. Right. Like I was able to
Exactly.
like take myself out in that situation and be like, wait, I don't like this about me right now. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. This is not who I'm trying to be, and then act on it.
Right.
Hmm.
I love that.
Yeah.
Let's just take a moment. Yay. Yay.
Yay.
Nicely
Yay to
done.
both of us. I know
Amazing.
it's wild how like you said, it's a skill. It's
Hmm.
so hard. Like
Yeah,
for some people, this is
really is.
innate, right? This is normal. But I think
Can't even fathom that.
for a larger part of our community, this is not
No.
innate.
Yeah.
This is a learned behavior, and it's
Hmm.
lots of learning and unlearning.
Yeah.
I had to,
Lots of practicing too
yes,
to do that.
yes. And I really think like with the conflicts that are known to happen in South Asian community, like it's fueled from this, right? Like misunderstandings, miscommunications, unhealthy conflict management,
Yep. Yep.
right?
Yep.
I just feel like a lot of it boils down to just for 1 second taking your own shoes off and then thinking about the other person's shoes, right? Like what they're thinking and feeling and why they are.
Yeah.
But it's so hard. Like
It really
I
is.
feel that there's been conflicts that happen between me and my mom and my sister. And in the past, I would kind of feel responsible to like be the mediator in their conflict management. But now I'm just like, I just provide validation and be a listening ear. And then I'll ask, like, have you talked to the other person about this?
Mm.
Which is an assertive strategy, right? Like, just talk about it. And they'd be like, no. And I'm like, maybe you should, right? Like, tell them how you feel, exactly what you just told me. Like, tell them what
Mm.
you feel. They're like, okay. And then, so like, that's literally like communication, like healthy communication, which is something I know we've talked about in our previous episodes.
It's an
But
important skill.
yeah.
Yeah. But like also, you know what I think it is too? I think so I want you to think about it like this. It's a thermometer, right?
Right.
Nobody ever goes from fine to like angry rage. That's very rare. Those instances don't
Mhm.
happen. Typically what tends to happen is we've got these layers, right? Like a thermometer. The first layer of it, like the first rung, the step. Now I'm talking about ladders, lol. Just go with it. The first rung of the ladder maybe is like annoyance, right? And then the next rung is when that annoyance isn't dealt with and it continues, maybe it becomes irritation, right? And then when that's not dealt with, then it becomes mad. Then it becomes
Yeah.
angry. Then it becomes like rage, right? Like where you
Right.
just see red.
It's a
It's a
progression. Yeah.
progress. So like that's another thing. I feel like because most of us in our communities, we tend to also operate passively where we just kind of suppress and we don't deal with it.
Right. It
We
keeps
give
building.
ourselves opportunities to get here before we deal with it and then it's a mess. But if we just
Right.
learn to say something when it's down here, it's so much easier to deal with. Like I mean think about it, right? Like when you're at an annoyance level, first of all, you have more capacity to kind of be calmer than if you were at a rage level.
Yeah.
Second of all, when you're at a lower level, you can also understand why you're upset and angry to help you to communicate. But when you're at a rage level, you're seeing red. You have a hard time
Yeah.
separating and understanding why am I even mad? All I know is
Yeah.
I'm mad and now I'm going to, yell and make this person feel hurt because I'm kind of
Yeah.
hurt.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's a good analogy. I
Yeah.
love it.
I know. I'm telling you, I love anger stuff. I've got so much of this. Anybody listening who's in Texas who wants to work through anger stuff, hit me up as your therapist. I want to talk to you about anger.
Anger is a good topic for sure.
Yeah.
It's the forbidden emotion.
Yes, it's the forbidden emotion title. I love when books do that or songs do that. They reference like the title.
Yeah.
You just did that.
I like it. We just did
Forbidden emotion.
It's forbidden.
Let's make it
but
not
it
so
shouldn't
forbidden.
be. Yeah, it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Let's make it, what's the opposite of forbidden?
Unforbidden.
Accepting. Unforbidden or acceptable. There you go.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
Acceptable is boring though. It's a
It's
fun
not
word,
as saucy as forbidden.
right?
And unforbidden just doesn't sound
Open.
like proper English. But
Open.
we'll go with it,
No.
maybe? Nah, that's
Yeah.
unforbidden. I like it.
Acceptable anger. There you go. All anger is acceptable.
AA. We can go with that. Alliteration. That's not what I meant.
Yay. That was a good first episode of season 3. Look at us.
That was solid.
Broke the ice. We did it.
We did it.
Woo.
First episode, season 3.
Yay. Should we wrap it up?
Let's
now?
wrap it up.
Okay, our wonderful listeners, we really appreciate you sticking with us till this point. We really do. We're so excited to bring you new topics and new ideas, new segments, hint, hint. We hope that you loved our Slayer name in the beginning. If you didn't get a chance to listen to it, you should rewind and listen to the beginning. We have this segment called Slayer Nay that we're starting off. And we would love to hear your Slayer Nay story, your comments about this episode, your thoughts, your feedback. You can reach us at talksouthasiantome@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram. Our handle is talksouthasiantome. We would love to hear from you. All right. Well, I think that's it.
Okie dokie.
Yeah,
See
bye,
you guys
everyone.
in episode 2.
Yes, letter B. Bye.